That they've not got ego at all. It was just that what was happening was so wrong.
Fiona, it is absolutely lovely to speak with you. Thank you so much for the time.
Oh, thank you.
I'm speaking, of course, with Fiona Samuel, the screenwriter behind Pike River. Fiona, this is a powerful film. It's such a beautiful and powerful film. How did you come to be involved? Why was this important for you?
Well, I remember when it happened, in real life, and the feeling that a huge injustice had been perpetrated, but not understanding the nuts and bolts of it, because that's something that the news media often can't really convey to you, the depth of something and how all the pieces link up, because everything in news is it's brief and it's shouty and it's high octane, and then it's on to the next thing. And so, yes, I think I and a lot of other people in New Zealand were left with this feeling of something went really wrong. Uh, but I couldn't explain to you how it happened or why I feel that way. So when Rob Sarkis, the director, came to me and said that he had been talking to Anna and Sonya, the two real life heroines in the film, and he wanted to tell the story as a drama, not as a documentary. There have been other documentaries, but he felt that emotionally it was bigger, richer territory. And he laid it all out for me. An unforgettable afternoon. He took me out for coffee. It lasted 4 hours. and, and he laid out just the beats of the story. They did this and then this happened. And I was sitting there with my mouth open thinking, ooh, it's like the feeling of having a big fish on the line. It's jerking around, and you think, I don't want to let this one get away. This one is really important. So it was not a hard sell. He had me early on, and of course a big part of that for me was that it is the story of the formation of a friendship between two um, ordinary women in quotes, because I don't think anybody is really ordinary when you dig down below the surface at all, and certainly not these two. But yeah, at first glance, they just appear like regular gals, and that was an appeal for me too, because that's where I come from.
I had the chance to speak with Robert, and we had a good laugh about the word ordinary,
Yeah,
because that is it's such I don't know how the word can be used here because these are absolutely extraordinary women, but we use it as everyday people, I suppose. You know,
yeah,
these are
that's right.
people you would know.
That's right. Not rich, not powerful, not glamorous, not successful, not any of the things that we are told that we should strive to be. Yeah, they're like your friends and neighbors.
You know, having said that, I was going to ask you about this in a moment anyway. Let's do it now. But can Anna and Sonia, as you're writing their journey, was there an aspect of their character that you really wanted to emphasize the most?
Oh, um, some of the essential qualities for me were how down to earth they are, how real they are. And real is another word like ordinary. You start throwing it around and then you think, what am I doing? Everyone is a real person. So, what do I mean when I say this? It's no frills, you wouldn't say no filters, because Sonia in particularly is very self-conscious and self-aware, but a kind of a plain speaking willingness to call things as they see them. That dawned on the two of them quite slowly. Neither of them felt herself to be a natural leader or a comfortable spokesperson. They didn't see themselves in those kinds of roles. None of them had ever had any involvement with the media or been on TV or spoke up on behalf of any cause. That was a million miles away from where they were, and they were not quick to seize it. That they've not got ego at all. It was just that what was happening was so wrong that the sense of injustice and outrage, at first, I think it shut them down. It was like being slammed over the head with a brick. You just go to ground and you're in shock. But then, as it stayed inside them, and it built to this amazing fire that I find so inspiring, because a lot of us ordinary people, we are the ordinary people, and in our world every day, we see so many things that we go, that's horrifying, that's outrageous, that's wrong, but what can I do? And the amazing thing about them and their story is that they asked themselves the question, what can I do? And they came up with an answer. That's what makes them extraordinary to me, that they did not put it down. And to this day, they will still say, we just did what anyone would have done. But the facts are that that's not true. Most of us will go, this is horrible, but I don't know how to address it. And I'm just getting on with my life. I'm paying the bills. I'm getting my kids ready for school. I'm holding down my job. I've got enough going on and I can't deal with this as well. And what they found out is that if you're going to take on something like that, practically everything in your life does go by the wayside. There are costs. There are big costs. But they hung in there and did something extraordinary.
I find that the most humble people are the ones that say, I just did what anybody would have done.
Exactly. The ones who lift up cars to free other people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'd like to think I would have lifted the car.
That's right. And you know what? You tap into this like obviously these are incredibly tragic events. And with dealing with very real people as you're telling this. And as a screenwriter, I wondered what sort of like how do you feel the weight of the burden of responsibility for bringing their stories to life? Because this is not a fictional drama. This is the people who are directly affected.
Yeah. Oh, well, I took it very seriously, and it was my COVID companion. It just so happened that during those crazy COVID years that were so surprising and strange for all of us, this is the project that I was working on. So while we were locked down, I had my little 3-step commute from the bedroom across the hall to my workroom. And every day I was working on this story. So even though I was barely leaving my house, in my head, I was in the mountains, I was down coal mines, I was, going through the experiences that these women went through. And it felt like it was really worth doing. It was like a lifeline to hold on to. When so much was uncertain, I thought at least the story that I'm working on, I know that it matters. And I really want to do right by them, because anyone who puts their real story in the hands of filmmakers, drama makers, they're taking a punt. It could go right or it could go really wrong. Or you could just feel they did a good job, but I feel misrepresented. I don't feel like they actually got the essence of me. So that was my fear. I thought I don't want them to feel like that. I want them to look at their story as crafted by me and Rob and recognize themselves in it, feel that it hasn't been flossied up or changed or cheated in any way, because you just didn't need to do that. There is so much power in it that you didn't need to over decorate. In fact, we were always going in the opposite direction, really, thinking what is the simple essence of this? What is the least frilly version? because these are not frilly people, and it's certainly not a frilly situation. Yeah, we to do right by them, and for them to feel represented was the most important thing to me, which is good because it stops you getting in your own way sometimes.
That's true. When you're just telling the truth, the pressure's off. It's
Yeah.
no, but absolutely. I mean, and this is I would hope that they feel that way because the film is wonderful. Uh,
They do feel that. They do feel that. I know they do. Yeah. Because
yeah.
they're not good liars. They're good at a lot of things, but they're not fibbers. So if they were not feeling it, I think I would know, even if they were being polite. And that's another thing they don't really do. They've learned not to be polite. Doesn't get you very far.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me in the script, there's a moment as things are starting to pick up steam, where I think they're in a courtroom. I think they're in the courtroom at this moment, but they ask the question, why does it take a tragedy to make us ask these questions?
Mm-hmm.
And that line hits hard. And I was wondering, in your mind, why does it seem like that's true? Why does it take something terrible to happen for us to realize how we need to take care of one another?
Because there's just something in most humans, a lot of humans, it's the path of least resistance.
Mm,
It's thinking, well, I know that the worst case scenario here would be pretty bad, but will it happen? Will it really happen? Roll of the dice. We gamble all the time where if we were thinking about safety first, or what is just the right thing to do here, if that was actually the priority, rather than what will be simplest, what will be quickest, what will be cheapest, what will be most popular, um, they're the wrong questions when you drill right down into it. The question is, what is the right thing to do? But often the right thing is the hard thing. And I think that's why we don't do it, we collectively, because it's hard. And we don't want things to be hard. We want them to be quick and easy and smooth and not annoy anybody else and help us to get along with our neighbors. And, it's just something very, very human, not to take the hard road. Who wants that? If you've got a choice between the hard road and the easy road, most people are going to go, I'll have that easy one, thank you, with table service. But, you know, life has other plans for us.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the things about this story, for people who get the chance to see the film, that really hits hard is the amount of easy roads that are taken
Oh, yeah.
along the way. Not for Sonia and Anna, but for those that were involved. Of course, it's unbelievable. Um,
Yeah.
it's such a powerful film, honestly. Fiona, what do you hope audiences take away from Pike River?
I hope that they take away a feeling of, yes, I can, yes, it is possible. People asked me a lot while I was working on the film, uh, isn't this a hard story to tell? When, I won't do spoilers, but they were basically saying they don't exactly get the ending that they want.
Hmm.
So how can you make a film out of it? As if the only way to tell a story is where everything gets tied up with a bow at the end. And the most interesting stories, I think, they don't do that. But what they do show you is possibilities
Hmm.
that you can imagine for yourself. That is one of the wonderful things about drama, is that it puts you imaginatively into somebody else's situation, and you think about their actions and you think about their feelings, and in the end you come back to yourself and your real life, but you hope that it's been your real life is somehow illuminated or expanded by the imaginary experience that you've been through.
Mm.
And the imaginary experience in this film, I think, is very empowering because you see two people, those ordinary people, who did a thing they would not have imagined that they could. They didn't know they had it in them to do what they did, but they did it. And the film takes you through that step by step. So they don't suddenly turn into superheroes. You know, they don't go into the phone box and come out in their cape. It's a process of transformation. As the challenges pile up, they dig deeper in themselves, and they get to where they got to. And there's something, you know, we can all do that.
Well, we are all ordinary people.
That's right. We are. And that is our superpower.
That is it. Honestly, Fiona, thank you so much for the time to chat with you. Pike River is just a wonderful piece,
Thank you.
which I believe is on VOD on January 30th. And
Oh, great. I really hope that people will find it.
I do too. I do too.
Cool.
Honestly, thank you so much for your time, and have a great day. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.